Thanks to our good friends at Katie O'Burns. We're joined by Byron Hunt, former Giant linebacker, Super Bowl champion. Byron, what's your thoughts on the G-Men after that big win over Detroit?
Hey, man, it's always a beautiful thing when I can talk to you guys on Monday, or we can talk on Monday, and the Giants are putting up another W. It doesn't matter how crooked it was, even though this was a little 16, 17 points. You know, we're getting a little bit closer to this team busting out for an offensive explosion. I know it's going to happen, but at this point in time, the W's matter, and it looks like, and it could be an offensive explosion, but my guess is this is the kind of team that we're going to continue to see into the playoffs, guys. And look at this right now. The Giants have the second best record in the NFC, and if it wasn't for those dreaded Cowboys, the Giants would be winning the NFC East. But in the NFC overall, the Giants' second best record, fourth best record in the NFL. And not looking too shabby on defense, guys. We got to applaud the defense. They are playing lights-out ball, only really giving up one big play a game. And I will tell you, from my experience, is that if you only give up one big play a game, then you're doing pretty good, which means that your offense is probably, your defense is probably going to give up maybe one touchdown. Maybe if you play well after that big play, and if it's not a touchdown, you'll give up a field goal. So we're looking at a team that I think the ceiling for most offenses is going to be somewhere between 10 and 14 points.
Let's stick with that defense. Now, you play defense in the NFL, and every defensive coordinator comes in different shapes and sizes, but Steve Spagnuolo right now for the Giants has been doing a tremendous job. How do these D coordinators work? If you had to draw up a perfect defensive coordinator, is it a guy who's yelling and screaming? Is it a guy who's nuts in practice, or a guy who just knows what the strengths of his players are?
Well, I think the key is knowing the strengths of your players and using that to the best advantage that you can. And guys, this is not Steve Spagnuolo's first rodeo, guys. I mean, he's done this before, and he's done it with a few different type teams. I mean, we can go all the way back to John Fox when the Giants made their Super Bowl run in 2000, and of course we can go back to Bill Parcells, in the 80s, and Bill Belichick in the late 80s. The Giants have been able to find defensive coordinators that can some kind of way get the players to play up to their ability, put them in positions to make some plays. And that's what we're seeing out there right now. Hey, look, I'm very surprised, and I'm sure that a lot of Giant fans and you guys might be the same, that this team has been able to come together so fast. But I'm going to say the reason is because Steve Spagnuolo has been there and has done it before.
Byron Hunt with us right now. Thanks to our friends at Katie O'Burns. Byron, so you had said you thought the offensive ceiling was basically south of 15 to 16 points a game. Is that going to be enough? Like how far do you see this team going once they do clinch that playoff spot?
Well, and I was just, and you guys, one thing I try not to do, and, I'm not as fired up as I usually am because, for a minute there, guys, it was getting kind of crazy, with all these low-scoring games, and the Giants was on the wrong end of it starting the season, and you have seen me kind of tone it down a little bit because I'm beginning to see the portrait. I'm beginning to see the picture. I'm beginning to see the artwork, even though it might not be pretty for this new NFL high-scoring offense that they want us to see. It's beginning to look like the portrait of that New York Giants defense, that New York Giants offense that is very balanced on offense, defense, special teams. And I can tell you guys, there's a couple things that I jotted down. And I said, this is a team that can go all the way to the Super Bowl, or a team that has a bad game in the first round can lose.
Do you watch a guy like...
kind of nervous, right?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., where he can be so dominant. He can take over a game, and he has these moments. He had one again this weekend where he makes a one-handed touchdown catch, and I just sit there and shake my head and think, can't teach that. I mean, he is just so unbelievable out on the field for the Giants. Is there anybody watching him play that you can compare him and say, he reminds me of this guy because he just has those wow moments during the game?
Wow. And I can compare him to, there was a guy many years ago. I don't know. I mean, he was bigger than Odell Beckham Jr., but there was a guy named Roy Green. He was a speedster. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals back in the day. Back in the day, guys. He's one of those guys that, he could take a 5-yard catch and turn it into a touchdown. He had that kind of speed. He had Darryl Green type speed, 4.2 and change. One of those guys that if you weren't on him when he caught the ball, then he was gone. And I got to compare him to that. I mean, not as big as a Roy Green. Roy Green was more of kind of a straight ahead type player. Not as much agility. I mean, of course. Odell Beckham Jr.'s got, the ceiling is out there. Yes, you know what? The good thing about Odell Beckham Jr., I would say he's different, a little bit different than Roy Green, is that he is a very physical player. You look at the size of that guy, but then you look how physical he plays the football game. Catches the ball in traffic, catches the ball outside, catches the ball inside, outside. Now they got him, and look, I know the Giants are experimenting right now, but now they got him returning some of these punts. You see what they're trying to do, and I understand it. It is a little bit dangerous. They're trying to get some additional points on the board, get some additional field position so that the Giants, and this is where the defense is going to be critical, the punting game as well, is shortening that field. And yes, Bill Parcells talked about this all the time. Shorten the field so that, yes, your offense is going to get more opportunities when you play lights-out defense, but can you shorten that field so, yes, you're not going 80 yards, you're not going 75 yards, you're going 50, you're going 45, you're going 55, 60 yards. And we're seeing what's happening with Eli Manning. And yes, his attempts, they're down. During this winning streak, his attempts are down. His efficiency is up. And, yes, we're a little bit concerned because it is really some tight games, guys. I mean, you wonder, and we've been looking at this all year, but I think now we're getting a better feel that the Giants are capable of winning most of these games, if not all these games. You got to remember, the Giants have only lost one game during this tremendous stretch. They are capable of winning these games, and it's just when you get used to playing a certain way and you start feeling comfortable with it, then I think the fans will realize that, hey, we got a team that can go all the way. And you know who might be standing there? The New England Patriots again, guys. So let's not get ahead of ourselves because those dreaded Eagles, and they're going to be home this Thursday, matter of fact.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Byron Hunt with us. We thank our friends at Katie O'Burns for giving us the opportunity to talk to Byron every week. Byron, real quick, want to pick your brain on something that's going on in college. We've now got two stars, Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, who are like, you know what, we're not going to play our bowl games because we're going to get ready for the NFL draft. When you were back at SMU, if like one of the guys on your team before a bowl said, I'm not going to play because I got to get ready for the draft, would you be okay with that or would you shame him?
Wow, that's a heck of a question. Look, nobody I know of ever did that. It's a luxury, yes, to be able to go to a bowl game. I tell you what we did, and this is something is that there wasn't as many bowl games. There was your traditional, Cotton Bowls or Senior Bowls and things like that. But what a lot of players did that, of course, they didn't have a zillion bowl. I can't even tell you how many bowls. If I sat here and tried to count up all the bowls, I was going to say it's somewhere between 50 and 100. I don't know. It just seems like
Right.
it's a tremendous amount of them. Can't tell you how many bowl games there are. But what we used to do is that we used to go to the bowl games, and when I say the senior bowl games, that were the most fun. And you didn't have it wasn't like you're going to be playing in a tough nose game. So I think these guys are concerned, especially a guy like, just think about these two guys. These two guys, both of these two guys, have been heavily depended on through their entire college careers. They've had a lot of touches. I mean, a lot of touches. Especially the kid Fournette from LSU, and then of course McCaffrey out there at Stanford. He's had a lot of carries, more different type of carries. But I can't appreciate the fact that those guys want to try to make sure and preserve themselves for the NFL draft. But hey, I would be a little bit concerned, if I had one opportunity to win a bowl game. These guys probably went to bowl games before. Look, if we had never went to a bowl game, it was our first bowl game ever, I'm sure if these guys were in their first bowl game ever, they would look at it a little bit different.
Byron Hunt, we love you, brother. We appreciate you, and thanks to our friends at Katie O'Burns.